Hello everybody and welcome back to Writing the Rapids, the show where I, Joe Bielecki, talk to writers about writing. Very often those writers have been recommended to me by writers who have previously been on the show, or it's a rejoinder episode, or very rarely, it's a little bonus thing. I had a lark. I wanted to talk to anyone who was at AWP and was willing to talk to me about it, and Kalie Pead answered the call. Kalie Pead is a queer writer from Salt Lake City, Utah, with a particular love of poetry, essays, and computer programming. She graduated in 2023 with an MFA in creative writing from the University of Notre Dame. Her work can be found in publications including the Southern Review of Books, Shenandoah, Folio, and The Martello. I had Kalie on from her hotel at AWP just a couple weeks ago, asked her some basic questions about it, and then, I don't know, maybe the biggest question about it, as someone who's never been to AWP, nor has he spent a lot of time thinking about AWP, but knowing that other people have a lot of big feelings and big opinions about it. So Kalie helped paint the picture for me. Before we get into this episode, this little bonus episode, I'll remind you that patreon.com/noisemakerjoe is a good way to go to support me. For $2 a month, you can get these episodes a little bit earlier than everybody else, and I think that's enough for today. Let's get into my conversation with Kalie. Let's start with, how many times have you been to AWP?
Yeah, so this is my third AWP. I went to Seattle in 2023, I believe, Kansas City, and then I skipped LA, and now this is my third. Yeah.
And in what capacity are you here? Are you tabling? Are you vibing? Are you like networking? Are you here for the panels? Are you here for the, I don't know, the very embarrassing writer hookups I imagine are happening? Like, why are you at AWP this weekend?
Yeah, so this particular trip, I am volunteering with a press that I admire deeply, and I volunteered with them in Kansas City as well. So they asked if I would come back and volunteer with them. So that was the main reason I came back. It was within driving distance for me. So that was easy. And then I do enjoy the panels, the ones that, I kind of comb through the schedule, and there's a lot I wish I could go to, but, and another maybe embarrassing driving factor is that I really wanted to see John Waters speak live. And he was the keynote this year. So yeah.
Okay. John Waters.
Yeah.
That's probably worth. And am I correct in fuzzily remembering that like volunteering gets you cheaper entry? Is that a thing?
Yeah, so you can volunteer. I think they call it work exchange when you volunteer with AWP specifically.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and I had a friend who did that this year, and it sounds like a pretty good deal. Like, either really discounted or maybe like a complimentary pass for 4 to 6 hours of work. So, and there's a lot of stuff you can do on Wednesday when it's not very busy.
Okay.
That's
so different than helping out a
that.
press you like, though. That's a...
Yeah. I just kind of work with this press to do certain things, but yeah.
I dig it. Okay. And then, so how is it this year compared to previous years that you've been there?
Yeah. The biggest difference, I think, this year for me, and I mean, I have a gap year between Kansas City and this year in Baltimore, so I'm not sure what LA was like, but I feel like either there are more people or the layout is different, because I have never been to so many panels where they are like cutting off access to the room because they've like filled all the seats. And that to me has been just so different, which I think is like, there are good aspects to that, because then other panels that, might not get as much exposure for whatever reason, then now have a little chance at more exposure. But also it's just this interesting thing that like I've only in all of my AWP years, I've had that happen one time in Seattle. And that was because so many people came in and sat in the aisles that like security had to come
Mm,
by and say, hey, fire code, this is, not good. Um, so that's been really interesting.
mm,
And I don't know if it's just way more people attending this year than we anticipated, or the the AWP anticipated, or if it's just like a layout, a space thing, how many panels there are. I'm not 100% on that.
mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, to my mind, AWP is like simultaneously like a con, but also like an industry event.
Hmm.
Is that kind of a correct estimation?
Yeah, I would say the book fair runs very similar to how you would experience a con. In fact, I like made some joke um, when the John Waters event happened because he did a signing after with you could take a selfie if you bought one of the books from this bookstore. And there were so many signs everywhere that were like no photos outside of that moment. And I was
Mm,
like, my first con, I got yelled at because I didn't realize you couldn't do something like that. So, but the book fair itself runs like pretty similar to how a con would run. It's mostly presses that are, selling things. There's a couple booths of maybe like agents and or I've seen that more this year too. That's a difference. I've
mm,
seen more booths of like I would say kind of companies that have agents or like Norton was here. Not that they had agents that they were talking about, but Norton's just like a different kind of publishing.
mm.
Um, but then a lot of indie presses that come and sell their work and give. I like that aspect of the book fair that you get the like indie writers have a chance to do a signing where they
Mm-hmm.
might not have ever done that in the past. Um, but then there's also the kind of corporate connection aspect where just even working at a table as a volunteer for a press, a lot of people are going to try to like connect with presses to then submit work to. And I've heard how, people have connected to different like people on panels who then kind of have opportunities for them. Um, so it's networking, but I think the book fair aspect for me as a writer is the part that I am kind of drawn to the most.
Right. In my mind, I keep thinking of Trans World, which is like the horror, like haunted experience sort of con, where it's like
Yeah.
there are people there who are just like maybe there to buy a mask, but it also seems like it's a lot of people who like run haunted houses who like go to that too. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's kind of how I'm imagining AWP,
Yeah.
just for poets,
Hmm.
where like, yeah, people are there to buy and sell books, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of civilians that go to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. 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 I don't think I overheard one person this year say, um, during the week, like it was on Friday, I think, mentioned that they were only there to support writers, that they just really liked books. So they were
Mm,
coming to like, like an adult book fair. And they do sell Saturday passes, I think, for that reason,
mm,
where, if you don't want to go to the panels, you can buy a Saturday pass for the book fair. Um, I am not sure what the like ratios of that would be, but I would say most people I talk to are, um, here for the writerly aspect.
yeah,
Um, and so many people come for the offsite readings too. Like I've found the
right.
quirkiest kind of like dive bars in some cities that I would have never found otherwise. Like,
Hmm.
um, and just those kind of offsite events too. But
I get the impression that people go to whatever city AWP is happening not to go to AWP, but to like go to only offsite readings and then like hang out with internet friends or whatever that are
yeah,
are there. So I imagine that's happening too, probably.
Yeah, happens a lot, actually.
Aside from panels, does AWP host readings too?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. I know that they, like, I don't want to say advertise, but they moved to an app platform for their scheduling,
Mm.
and where you can of course see all of the panels that are happening that day. But then if you scroll to the bottom of the day, they list kind of the offsite readings. AWP also hosts like writers caucuses, so the LGBTQIA plus writers caucus, the different sorts of group writers caucuses that happen. And I think those are technically hosted through AWP, but we can fact check me on that. But as far as readings go, I mean, they have their keynote, and then I'm not 100% sure if I've never seen like AWP presents X reading group.
Mm.
Outside of like the awards, they present a couple awards, and usually there are people who read at those as well. But yeah, most of the other ones are just like small presses.
Okay. I wasn't aware that there were awards. What is AWP giving awards for?
Yeah, there's like an indie book award, not book award, but indie book store award, kind of like press of the year award. And then I know there's a couple other awards through presses that get presented at AWP. A couple prizes I think that get presented at AWP. I'm trying to remember some of the press prizes that come through. This is probably bad to admit, I've never gone to any of the award show or the award moments at AWP, because there's always like, I mean, you go to AWP, you stand on a corner in the city and you throw a rock and you hit a reading. They just, at any time of day. So,
sure.
There's a lot of that going on, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dig it. We've been talking for right around 10 minutes. So here is the big question. Is AWP good?
Is AWP good? I think if you've never gone, it's at a city that is near you and it's like accessible to you. I think it's worth it to go at least once. I personally feel like I have met a ton of just even like writer friends over the years at AWP, but I'm a pretty outgoing person, so not everyone's like that. But I have also made connections with presses. Like I first learned about the press that published my manuscript eventually through AWP. That's where I met them, and I realized that, I mean, it really just opened my eyes on the press sizes. And I think a lot of people go to AWP expecting to sell a manuscript, and that's not, always the case. Or not, I would not say always the case. That's not the norm. Most presses are not going like actively looking for manuscripts, but I think it exposes you to presses you may not have been exposed to before. So I think that in that sense, AWP is good if you go into it knowing kind of what you're going there for, right? Like the interpersonal connections, the inspiration. I mean, I shouldn't forget the panels, but those are, AWP is going to come for me for saying this, but they're hit and miss sometimes because it just depends on, it's a panel. You never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So I think if you're looking to sell a manuscript, if that's your goal, AWP is not the place for you. But if you want to learn more about what is out there in the world of publishing, what presses exist, and making connections, if you're willing to like go out of your way a little bit, go out of your comfort zone to meet people, it's a great way to do that. I don't think anyone needs to come every year, but I think if you have the option or the ability to go one time, it's at the very least 3 days of intense people watching.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah.
That's a very satisfying answer.
Good.
And that's kind of like where I'm at too, where like the amount of people who are like, yeah, I didn't go to the LA one.
Yeah.
Like, that's not surprising to me at all.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like it's in Chicago next year. I will at least make an effort to be in Chicago, right?
Right. Right.
I feel like AWP to me, it reminds me the way people, the vibes I get from people about AWP feels very much middle school dance, and all the kids in the Hot Topic pants who go to the school dance but also talk about how stupid school dances are. Like, this is the vibe I get, where it's like, this is stupid, they don't play good music, like we should have just stayed in Jared's basement and played Metal Gear or whatever. Like that is kind of the vibe. I feel like I haven't run into anybody who's really excited about AWP every year. And that's fine. Like, I think what you said about like tempering expectations is probably why you don't have a super sour opinion about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just kind of like, not unwittingly, but I don't know, mildly enthusiastically lukewarm on the prospect of one year a group of people, including myself, like submitted a panel to AWP, and I was like, I don't even know if the panel even gets accepted. I don't even know.
Right.
Like, because it's expensive, and the travel and whatever, and it ended up not getting accepted anyway, which is obviously fine to me.
Right.
But
right.
like the idea too that a lot of panels are just that, or that is how panels get selected, right? Where it is some people in a group chat somewhere saying we should do an AWP panel this year.
Correct.
Like that's something that like doesn't make me super excited about the panels. And then just knowing how much books cost, like the idea of the book fair sounds really cool, but not for somebody who makes as much money as I do.
Right.
Like,
no, that's so fair.
Like, if for the year I'm only buying books at AWP, then fine. I'll like pool together the book budget for 2027 and buy 80 books at AWP and then log off for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, do you think that like AWP could be better, or does it just kind of feel like one of those, I don't even necessarily know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I think I feel the vibe of what you're saying, though. Because double-edged sword there, like I feel like there are things about AWP that might be approached differently. I know one big thing that has kind of happened every year, that I've been going to AWP is like this idea, or not idea, but AWP is a large organization that, is there, I will say quote unquote, because I'm not trying to speak for AWP, to support and uplift writers. And they talk about that often, right? Making connections, helping people find jobs, that kind of thing. And I think part of that a lot of people expect is this idea of like being engaged in the world writ large of what's happening. So I feel like every year there is some sort of protest that happens at AWP, sometimes of AWP. Nothing like, oh, people are lining the streets and telling the writers to get out of town. It's usually writers who feel like AWP has been too quiet about certain things.
Sure.
And it seems like this year there may have been some things in kind of the terms and conditions that kind of dissuaded or maybe prohibited. Again, don't want to get sued, so I'm not going to say either way because I did not read the terms and conditions. But it was like dissuaded people from making bigger political statements like at their booths. And so people kind of, fought back against that a little bit with lots of shirts and, wearing certain kinds of banners and things. So that's a very rambly way of saying I think everyone who goes to AWP has an expectation of how things could be better handled, whether that's the size of the panels, whether it's accessibility, whether it's, how interpersonal situations may or may not be handled at the event. Food that is available for people, right? The check-in process. Like, I feel like there's always something that people find, AWP could be better at XYZ thing. However, for what AWP is, I think that there's like small adjustments that can be made, but when big things start to change, it's like, okay, we're just creating a whole new problem, right?
Yeah.
So panel size this year, I think, was the thing, that I noticed the most of, okay, people are being turned away from panels because of fire code, which makes sense. Fire code's important. It exists for a reason. But then you start to think about, okay, why did certain panels get put in these smaller rooms? Is it just, and some of them weren't. I mean, some of them were in huge spaces and they just happened to be super popular. So, why are certain panels being placed certain places? Is that really representative of those panels? Like, I think every organization can do better to help and support their disenfranchised writers. So I think there are adjustments that can be made, but it is kind of that thing that is like, AWP is a massive, just a beast, Like, I think there might be, don't sue me, AWP. I think there's one person who runs the entire book fair. An amazing person, like a good, like, not a mean person by any means, but yeah, so it's like the weight of something like that, when you have that many people coming to do something, it runs very well, but could things run better if it was more than one person in charge of something, But
Okay. Well, let's close out with maybe the most important question. Are you having fun? I guess this is like the last day and it's kind of the end of the day. Did you have fun at AWP?
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I was fortunate enough to come this year specifically with two of my friends from undergrad that I haven't seen for years. And I really focused this year on like connecting with them and connecting with the like interpersonal kind of relationships. Like, yes, I was helping this press, but I was more interested in like making an interpersonal connection with everyone else who was helping with the press, and like talking to people at the book fair, helping move books, not physically, but also price wise, like helping authors sell their books, right? And it's probably my favorite AWP so far, actually. So I think it's just tempering expectations and you'll have a good time.